Today, we will learn English while you sleep. Lie down. Make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. In and out. Feel your body soft. Your feet are soft. Your legs are soft. Your arms are soft. Your hands are soft. Your shoulders are soft. Your face is soft. Your body is calm. Now, imagine a quiet place. It can be a garden, a forest, a beach, or a meadow. You walk slowly. You see soft colors. You feel calm. Say in your mind, walk, slow, calm, soft. While you rest, your brain can learn English words. You do not need to try hard. Words come slowly and softly. Listen in your mind. Hello.
Goodbye.
Yes. No. Thank you. Please. Now, think of simple sentences. I like apples. I have a cat. This is my house. Say them slowly in your mind. Repeat softly. Take a slow breath. In and out. Feel your body soft and heavy. Your mind is calm and quiet. Now, imagine small actions. I eat. I drink. I run. I walk. I read. I play. Repeat slowly. Imagine yourself doing these actions softly. Look around in your quiet place. See flowers, red, yellow, blue. Say softly, flower, red, yellow, blue. See animals, cat, dog, bird. Say softly, cat, dog, bird. Now, think of small stories. I go to the park. I see a dog. The dog is happy. I say hello. I see a bird. The bird sings. I smile. Repeat slowly in your mind. Feel the words and sentences. Take another slow breath. In and out. Your body is calm. Your mind is calm. English words stay in your memory. Now, imagine the sky. It is blue. The sun is soft. The clouds are white. Say softly, sky, sun, cloud, blue, white, soft. Think of questions and answers. What is this? Where is my book? Who is he? This is a pen. My book is here. He is my friend. Repeat slowly. Imagine yourself speaking softly. Now, imagine a quiet story again. I walk in the forest. I see a river. I see a cat. I see a bird. I sit on the grass. I feel calm. I feel happy. Say it slowly. Your brain remembers the words and sentences. Take one more deep breath. In and out. Feel your body heavy and soft. Your mind is quiet. You are ready to sleep. Words, sentences, and small stories stay in your memory. Sleep gently. One sunny morning, a backpack lies on a bench in a quiet park. The backpack is blue with small yellow stars. No one is near the bench. People walk slowly on the paths, and birds sing in the trees. A child notices the backpack. They move closer and look inside. The backpack has a notebook, a pencil, a water bottle, and a small map. The child wonders who left it and decides to find the owner. First, the child walks along the path near the playground. Children swing, run, and laugh. The child asks politely, "Is this your backpack?" No one answers. The backpack is still lost. Next, the child goes toward the pond. Ducks swim slowly, and frogs jump on the stones. A boy throws crumbs into the water for the ducks. The child shows him the backpack. The boy shakes his head. "Not mine," he says. The child walks to the small garden in the park. Flowers grow in red, yellow, and blue. Bees fly slowly from flower to flower. A woman waters the plants. The child asks her, "Did you see someone with a backpack?" She smiles. "No, I only saw a small dog run past." The child decides to follow the small path near the trees. Birds fly above. Leaves move gently in the wind. The child notices a trail of small footprints in the dirt. They follow the footprints carefully. Near a bench by the fountain, a boy sits drawing in a notebook. The child asks, "Is this your backpack?" The boy looks up and smiles. "Yes. Thank you." He explains that he left it on the first bench while he fed the ducks. The child helps carry the backpack. They walk slowly back to the first bench. The boy checks his notebook and pencil. Everything is safe. He thanks the child again. "I will be more careful next time," he says. The child learns new words while helping: backpack, bench, notebook, pencil, water bottle, pond, duck, frog, garden, flower, bee, footprint, trail. Before leaving the park, the child sits on a bench and drinks water. The sun is warm, and the wind moves the leaves. Birds sing softly. Ducks swim slowly in the pond. Everything is calm. Walking home, the child thinks about the adventure. They feel proud and happy for helping someone. The park is quiet, the sun is warm, and the lost backpack is safely back with its owner. A small wooden boat floats on a calm lake. The water is clear and reflects the blue sky. Ducks swim slowly near the shore. Trees move gently in the wind. The air smells fresh and clean. A person arrives at the lake carrying a small basket. They place it on the grass and look at the boat. The boat is old but strong. The person pushes it carefully into the water and climbs in. The boat moves slowly. The person uses a small paddle to row gently. Water moves softly around the boat. Fish swim near the surface. The person watches their movements. Small ripples appear on the water. Near the center of the lake, there are water lilies. White and pink flowers float on the green leaves. Dragonflies fly slowly above the flowers. The person points at the flowers and notices their colors. A small bird lands on the edge of the boat. It looks at the person carefully. The person stays still and watches. The bird sings softly, then flies away. The person writes new words in a small notebook: bird, sing, fly, boat, water, paddle. The sun is warm. Clouds move slowly in the sky. A frog jumps from a leaf into the water. The splash is small, and ripples move toward the boat. The person smiles and writes: frog, jump, splash, ripple. Near the lake shore, there is a small wooden pier. The person rows closer and stops. They look around. Children play with small balls nearby. A dog runs along the shore, barking softly. Ducks swim close to the pier. The person eats a small sandwich from the basket. They drink water slowly and enjoy the quiet sounds of the lake. The wind moves the leaves, and birds sing gently. Everything feels calm. Later, the person rows toward a small island in the lake. Trees grow there, and the ground is soft with moss. Small flowers grow near the water. The person steps carefully onto the island and explores slowly. On the island, there are small stones and shells near the water. The person picks a few, touches them, and notices the colors and textures. They write: stone, shell, smooth, round, soft. After some time, the person rows back to the shore. The sun moves lower in the sky. Shadows stretch across the water. The person carries the boat carefully back onto the grass and smiles. Before leaving, they look at the lake one last time. The water is calm, the ducks swim slowly, and the trees move gently. The day was peaceful and full of small discoveries. The person feels happy and ready to return tomorrow. The next morning, the person returns to the lake. The sun is soft, and the water is calm. Birds sing in the trees, and the wind moves the leaves gently. The small boat waits near the shore. The person carries a basket with a notebook, a bottle of water, and some bread. They push the boat into the water carefully and climb in. The paddle moves slowly through the clear water, making soft ripples. Near the center of the lake, the water lilies are open. White and pink flowers float on the green leaves. A dragonfly lands on one of the flowers. The person watches quietly and writes in the notebook: dragonfly, flower, float, green, pink, white. A small frog jumps from a leaf into the water. The splash is soft, and ripples move toward the boat. The person smiles and writes: frog, jump, splash, ripple, water. The boat moves slowly toward the small island. Trees grow tall there, and the ground is soft with moss. Small flowers grow near the water. The person steps carefully onto the island. On the island, they notice something unusual: a small wooden box near the trees. It is closed, but it looks old. The person opens it carefully. Inside, there are shells, small stones, and a note. The note says: discover nature slowly. Look, touch, and enjoy. The person picks up some stones. They are smooth and round. They touch the shells and notice the colors, white, brown, and pink. They write new words in the notebook: stone, shell, smooth, round, color, touch. A little bird lands on a branch above the box. It looks at the person and sings softly. The person listens and writes: bird, branch, sing, soft. Nearby, a rabbit moves carefully among the trees. It stops and looks at the person. The person stays still. The rabbit hops slowly and disappears behind a bush. They write: rabbit, hop, bush, careful. The sun moves higher in the sky. The person sits on a soft patch of moss and eats a small sandwich. Ducks swim near the island, and frogs jump from leaf to leaf. A butterfly flies slowly above the flowers. The person writes: duck, swim, frog, jump, butterfly, flower. After resting, the person rows the boat around the lake. They notice new things: a small wooden pier on the far side, fish swimming near the surface, and leaves floating on the water. They write: pier, fish, surface, float, leaf. A gentle wind moves the boat slowly. Clouds reflect on the water. The person listens to the soft sounds: water moving, birds singing, wind in the trees. Everything feels calm and peaceful. As the sun begins to set, the person rows back to the shore. The shadows are long, and the sky is orange and pink. They carry the boat carefully onto the grass. Ducks swim slowly near the shore, and the trees move gently. Before leaving, the person looks at the lake one last time. They remember the stones, shells, frogs, birds, rabbits, and flowers. They feel happy, calm, and proud. The day was full of small discoveries, learning, and quiet adventures in nature. In a quiet town, there is a small museum. The museum is old but clean. The walls are white, and the shelves are full of objects. Paintings hang on the walls. Small statues are on tables. People walk slowly and look at the exhibits. A person enters the museum. They want to explore and learn new things. The guide, a kind woman, smiles and says, "Welcome. Please walk slowly and enjoy the exhibits." The person starts in the painting room. Paintings show mountains, rivers, and cities. Some are colorful, and some are black and white. The person notices small details: a boat on a river, birds in the sky, and people walking in the streets. They write new words in a notebook: mountain, river, city, boat, bird, street. Next, they go to a room with small statues. There are statues of animals: lions, birds, and elephants. Some statues are made of wood, some of stone. The person touches a small wooden statue carefully. They write: lion, elephant, bird, wood, stone, statue, touch. In another room, there are old objects from long ago. Some are cups, plates, and small tools. The person looks carefully. They see letters, old coins, and small toys. They learn new words: cup, plate, tool, coin, toy, old, new. A little boy walks slowly with his mother. He points to a small globe on a table. "What is this?" he asks. The person shows him. "This is a globe. It shows the world." The boy smiles and touches it carefully. The person writes, globe, world, point, touch, show. Near the window, sunlight shines on a small box. Inside are old postcards. Some show mountains, some show rivers, and some show the sea. The person picks one and reads, I hope you enjoy this view. They smile and write, postcard, mountain, river, sea, view, enjoy. A woman enters the museum with a sketchbook. She draws a small statue of a bird. The person watches and writes, draw, sketch, bird, statue, watch. Later, they draw a painting with a river, a boat, and birds flying in the sky. The guide shows a small room with old clothes. There are dresses, hats, and coats. Some are colorful, some are plain. The person touches a soft hat and writes, dress, coat, hat, color, plain, soft. After some time, the person sits on a bench. They look around and see children reading small books, families walking slowly, and people taking notes. The museum is calm, quiet, and full of learning. Before leaving, the person writes a summary in their notebook. Today I saw paintings, statues, old objects, postcards, and clothes. I learned new words about animals, colors, tools, and places. I drew a bird and a river. The museum is calm and full of interesting things. The person smiles, thanks the guide, and walks outside. Sunlight is warm, birds sing, and the street is quiet. They feel happy and ready to return to the museum another day. The next morning, the person returns to the small museum. The sun shines softly through the windows. The museum is quiet. Only a few people walk slowly, looking at the exhibits. The guide greets the person with a smile. The person decides to explore the museum more carefully. First, they go to a new room they did not see yesterday. This room is small and dark. On the walls, there are old maps of countries and cities. Some maps are very old, some newer. The person looks at the maps and notices rivers, mountains, and small towns. They write new words in their notebook: map, country, city, river, mountain, town. Next, they go to a room with old letters and photographs. The letters are from children who lived long ago. Some letters talk about school, some about pets, and some about games. The person reads a few letters carefully. They write, letter, photograph, school, pet, game, old. In the same room, they see small objects from daily life: a comb, a cup, a spoon, and a small clock. The objects are old but carefully kept. The person touches the comb gently and writes, comb, cup, spoon, clock, gentle, old. A little girl enters with her mother. She points to a small toy on a shelf. What is this? She asks. The person shows her the toy, a small wooden horse. They explain slowly, it is a toy. Children played with it a long time ago. The girl smiles and touches the horse carefully. The person writes, toy, horse, child, play, long ago, touch. After that, the person walks to the room with paintings. Today, they notice small details they did not see before: a small bird on a tree, a boat on the river, and a cat on the roof of a house. They write, bird, tree, boat, river, cat, roof, house. Near a window, the sunlight shines on a small chest. The person opens it carefully. Inside are old postcards and letters. Some postcards show mountains, rivers, and seas. One postcard says, "I wish you a happy day." The person smiles and writes, "Postcard, mountain, river, sea, wish, happy." Later, the guide shows the person a secret corner. There are small sculptures of animals, lions, elephants, birds, and dogs. The sculptures are made of wood and stone. The person touches a small stone bird carefully and writes, "Sculpture, lion, elephant, bird, dog, wood, stone." After exploring all rooms, the person sits on a bench. They watch children reading small books, families walking slowly, and people taking notes. The museum is calm, quiet, and full of learning. Before leaving, the person writes a summary in their notebook. "Today I saw maps, letters, photographs, toys, paintings, postcards, and sculptures. I learned new words about places, animals, objects, and colors. I touched old objects and noticed small details in the paintings." The guide smiles and says, "You are welcome anytime." The museum always has something new to see. The person thanks the guide and walks outside. The sun is warm, birds sing, and the street is quiet. They feel happy, calm, and ready to return another day. In a small town, there is a hidden garden behind an old brick wall. The garden is full of flowers, trees, and small paths. Only a few people know the entrance. The air smells sweet, and the wind moves gently through the leaves. One morning, a child finds the entrance. The gate is small and made of green wood. The child opens it carefully and steps inside. The garden is quiet. Birds sing softly, and butterflies fly above colorful flowers. The child walks slowly along a narrow path. Flowers grow in red, yellow, and blue. Bees move from flower to flower. The child watches carefully and writes new words in a small notebook: flower, bee, red, yellow, blue, path, walk. Near a small pond, ducks swim slowly. Frogs jump on the stones. The child sits on a bench and watches the animals. A dragonfly flies above the water. The child writes, duck, swim, frog, jump, stone, dragonfly, water. A little squirrel runs along a tree. It stops and looks at the child. The child stays calm and watches. The squirrel jumps to another branch and disappears. The child writes, squirrel, tree, jump, branch, watch. Next, the child finds a small wooden bridge. The water under the bridge is clear. Small fish swim near the surface. The child drops a few crumbs into the water. The fish swim quickly to eat them. The child writes, bridge, fish, surface, swim, crumb, water. On another path, the child finds a small box under a bush. It is old and made of wood. The child opens it carefully. Inside are small stones, shells, and a note: look around slowly and enjoy nature. The child smiles and writes, box, stone, shell, note, enjoy nature. Later, the sun moves higher in the sky. Shadows are soft. The child sits under a tree and eats a small sandwich. Birds fly above. Bees buzz around the flowers. Everything is calm and peaceful. Near the end of the garden, the child finds a small gate. It leads to another secret path. The child walks slowly, noticing new flowers and small animals. Rabbits hop in the grass. A butterfly lands on a leaf. The child writes, gate, rabbit, hop, grass, butterfly, leaf. Before leaving, the child looks back at the garden. The flowers, trees, birds, and animals all create a quiet, beautiful place. The child feels happy and calm. They take one last look, close the gate carefully, and promise to return another day. The next morning, the child returns to the secret garden. The sun is soft, and the air smells fresh. Birds sing in the trees, and a gentle wind moves the leaves. The green wooden gate is slightly open, inviting. The child steps inside carefully. The flowers are bright in the morning light, red roses, yellow daisies, and bluebells. Bees fly from flower to flower. The child watches quietly and writes new words in a notebook: rose, daisy, bluebell, bee, bright, light. Walking slowly along the narrow paths, the child notices a small squirrel eating a nut near a tree. It looks up at the child and moves carefully to another branch. The child writes, squirrel, nut, tree, branch, careful, eat. Near the pond, the ducks swim calmly. Frogs jump quietly from stone to stone. A dragonfly flies above the water. The child drops a few small crumbs into the water. Fish swim quickly to eat them. The child writes, pond, duck, swim, frog, jump, stone, dragonfly, fish, eat, crumb. The child finds a small wooden bridge they did not notice yesterday. The water under the bridge is clear and calm. Tiny fish swim near the surface. The child bends carefully and touches the water with a finger. Ripples move slowly. They write, bridge, water, finger, ripple, calm, clear, fish. Next, the child walks along a path lined with tall trees. Sunlight comes through the leaves, creating small bright spots on the ground. Birds hop between branches, and leaves move slowly in the wind. The child writes, tree, leaf, sunlight, hop, branch, wind, ground. On a soft patch of grass, the child finds a small box hidden under a bush. The box is old and made of wood. Inside are stones, shells, and a small note. The note says, look closely. Nature has many small secrets. The child smiles and writes, box, stone, shell, note, secret, nature, smile. While exploring further, the child hears a soft rustling in the bushes. A rabbit hops out carefully. It stops and looks around. The child stays still. The rabbit moves slowly across the grass and disappears behind a tree. They write, rabbit, hop, grass, careful, disappear, tree. In another corner of the garden, there is a small flower bed with unusual flowers. Some are pink with yellow centers, some purple, and some orange. Butterflies fly above the flowers, landing gently on petals. The child writes, flower, pink, yellow, purple, orange, butterfly, petal, gentle. The sun moves higher in the sky. Shadows shift slowly across the paths. The child sits under a tree and eats a small sandwich. Birds fly above. Bees buzz softly around the flowers. Everything feels calm, peaceful, and quiet. They write, sun, shadow, sandwich, calm, peaceful, quiet. Near the far end of the garden, the child discovers a small hidden gate they did not see before. Behind it is another secret path. The child walks carefully along this new path. Rabbits hop in the grass, and small birds sing from the trees. The child writes, gate, path, secret, hop, rabbit, sing, bird. Along the path, they find a small wooden table with a tiny chair. On the table, there is a small notebook and a pencil. A note says, write your discoveries here. Share the garden's secrets. The child sits and writes about the flowers, animals, and birds they saw today. They write, table, chair, notebook, pencil, discovery, write, share, secret. After exploring the new path, the child walks slowly back to the main gate. They take one last look at the flowers, trees, animals, and pond. The garden is calm, the sun is warm, and birds sing softly. The child feels happy, proud, and relaxed. Before leaving, they promise to return another day to explore more of the secret garden, find new animals, new flowers, and new small secrets hidden in the peaceful paths. The child smiles and closes the green wooden gate carefully. In a small town, there is a market every Saturday. The market is full of colors, smells, and sounds. People walk slowly between the stalls, carrying bags and baskets. Some sell fruits and vegetables, and some sell bread, cheese, or small toys. A child arrives at the market with a small purse. They want to buy fresh fruit and a little snack. The child walks slowly, looking at the colorful stalls. Apples are red, oranges are bright orange, and bananas are yellow. The child writes new words in a notebook: apple, orange, banana, red, yellow, orange, fruit. The first stall sells vegetables. Carrots, tomatoes, and green peppers are on the table. The child asks politely, "How much for the carrots?" The seller smiles and says, 2 coins for 1 kilogram. The child counts the coins carefully and buys the carrots. They write, carrot, tomato, green pepper, kilogram, coin, buy, sell. Next, the child goes to a bread stall. Fresh bread smells warm and soft. The baker shows small rolls and a large loaf. The child chooses a small roll and tastes it. It is soft and sweet, the child says. They write, bread, roll, loaf, soft, sweet, taste. Near the bread stall, a woman sells cheese. There are small pieces and large pieces. Some are yellow, some white. The child asks, which cheese is soft? The woman gives a small piece to taste. The child writes, cheese, soft, yellow, white, taste. A little further, a toy stall has small wooden animals, horses, lions, and elephants. The child touches a small wooden horse carefully. The seller says, you can look, but do not break them. The child smiles and writes, toy, horse, lion, elephant, wood, touch, look. In the middle of the market, a musician plays a small flute. People stop and listen. Children dance slowly near the music. The child writes, music, flute, play, listen, dance, stop. The child walks to a flower stall. Flowers are bright and colorful, red, yellow, pink, and blue. Bees fly from flower to flower. The child smells the flowers and writes, flower, red, yellow, pink, blue, smell, bee, fly. Near the edge of the market, a small dog runs between people. It looks happy and playful. The child pets it carefully. The dog wags its tail. The child writes, dog, run, pet, tail, wag, happy, playful. The sun is warm. The child sits on a bench and eats a small roll. Birds sing in the trees. The market is full of small sounds, people talking, coins dropping, music, and laughter. The child writes, sun, warm, bench, eat, bird, sing, talk, coin, laugh. Before leaving, the child checks the purchases, fruit, vegetables, bread, cheese, and a small toy horse. They feel happy and proud. The market was busy, full of colors, smells, and sounds. They promise to return next Saturday to learn more words and see new stalls. Near a small village, there is a quiet forest. The forest has tall trees, soft grass, and many small animals. The air smells fresh, and the wind moves gently through the leaves. One morning, a child decides to explore the forest. They put on comfortable shoes and take a small backpack with water, a notebook, and a snack. They walk slowly along a narrow path. The child sees flowers along the path, yellow, pink, and white. Bees fly from flower to flower. The child watches carefully and writes in their notebook, flower, yellow, pink, white, bee, fly. Near a small stream, frogs jump on stones. Fish swim slowly in the water. The child sits on a rock and watches quietly. They write, frog, jump, stone, fish, swim, water. A little rabbit hops out of the grass. It stops and looks at the child. The child stays calm. The rabbit moves slowly into the forest. They write, rabbit, hop, grass, calm, forest. Walking further, the child finds a fallen tree. Small mushrooms grow on it, red, brown, and white. A bird sits on a branch above, singing softly. The child writes, tree, mushroom, red, brown, white, bird, sing, branch. The sun moves higher. Shadows from the trees are soft. A squirrel runs along a branch and jumps to another tree. The child watches carefully and writes, squirrel, run, jump, branch, tree. Near a small hill, the child finds a hidden path. They follow it slowly and discover a quiet clearing. Flowers grow in circles, and butterflies fly above. Bees buzz gently. The child writes, hill, path, clearing, circle, butterfly, buzz. After a while, the child sits on the grass and eats a small sandwich. Birds fly above, and the wind moves the leaves. The child listens to the soft sounds, water moving, birds singing, leaves rustling. They write, eat, sandwich, bird, fly, wind, leaf, rustle, sound. Before leaving the forest, the child looks around one last time. The flowers, trees, animals, and stream create a peaceful place. The child feels happy, calm, and proud of the discoveries. They promise to return another day to explore more of the little forest. Near a small village, there is a big mountain. The mountain is green with trees, rocks, and small streams. A child decides to explore it carefully. They put on comfortable shoes, take a small backpack with water, a notebook, and a snack, and start walking slowly along a narrow path. The first part of the path goes through a small forest. Trees are tall, and leaves move gently in the wind. Birds sing softly. The child notices small flowers on the ground, yellow, pink, and white. Bees fly from flower to flower. The child writes in the notebook, tree, leaf, wind, bird, flower, yellow, pink, white, bee, fly. Near a small stream, frogs jump on stones. Water flows slowly. The child sits on a rock and watches quietly. Fish swim near the surface. They write, stream, frog, jump, stone, water, fish, swim, surface. Walking further, the child finds a fallen tree. Small mushrooms grow on it, red, brown, and white. A squirrel runs along a branch and jumps to another tree. The child writes, tree, mushroom, red, brown, white, squirrel, jump, branch. The path becomes steeper. The child moves carefully, holding onto rocks. Small birds fly from tree to tree. A butterfly lands on a leaf. The child writes, path, steep, careful, rock, bird, fly, butterfly, leaf. At the middle of the mountain, there is a small clearing. Flowers grow in circles. Bees buzz softly. A rabbit hops in the grass. The child watches quietly and writes, clearing, circle, flower, bee, buzz, rabbit, hop, grass. Nearby, there is a small wooden bridge over a stream. Water moves slowly under it. Tiny fish swim near the surface. The child touches the water with a finger and sees ripples. They write, bridge, stream, water, fish, touch, ripple, finger. Walking further, the child finds a hidden path. It leads to a small hill with a view of the village. Trees move gently, and shadows shift slowly. The child sits on a rock and eats a sandwich. Birds fly above. Leaves rustle in the wind. The child writes, hill, view, village, tree, shadow, sandwich, eat, bird, fly, leaf, rustle, wind. Near the hill, the child notices a small cave. They explore it carefully. Inside, the cave is dark but safe. There are small stones and old markings on the wall. The child writes, cave, dark, safe, stone, marking, wall, explore. After exploring the cave, the child continues along the path. They find a small wooden bench under a tree. They sit and drink water slowly. A fox appears in the distance. It moves quietly between the trees. The child watches carefully and writes, bench, tree, sit, drink, fox, move, quiet, watch. As the sun moves lower, the child walks back slowly. Shadows are long, and the air is cooler. The path goes down through the forest again. Birds sing softly, and frogs jump in the stream. The child writes, shadow, long, cool, path, forest, sing, frog, jump, stream. Before leaving the mountain, the child looks back at the view. The village is small, the forest is green, and the streams shine in the sunlight. They feel happy, proud, and calm. The mountain was full of small discoveries, animals, plants, and peaceful places. Walking home, the child promises to return another day to explore more paths, find new animals, flowers, and hidden places. They feel excited and ready for another adventure. The city is calm in the early morning. Streets are empty, and the sun is soft. Cafes open slowly, and small smells of coffee and bread float in the air. A person walks along a quiet street. They carry a small bag and a notebook. They notice the colors of the buildings, red bricks, white walls, and green doors. They write new words: street, building, red, white, green, door, bag, notebook. Near a small cafe, a baker places fresh bread in the window. The smell is warm and inviting. People start to arrive slowly. The person observes carefully. They write: bakery, bread, smell, window, arrive, observe. Birds fly above the street. Some land on the roof, some on the trees. The person watches a small pigeon eating crumbs on the sidewalk. They write: bird, fly, roof, tree, pigeon, eat, sidewalk. At a small square, people sit on benches. Some drink coffee, some read newspapers, and some talk quietly. The person sits and writes in the notebook: square, bench, coffee, newspaper, talk, quietly. A street musician plays a soft melody on the violin. Passers-by stop and listen. The music is calm and pleasant. The person writes: musician, play, melody, violin, listen, calm, pleasant. Later, the person walks near a park. Trees move gently in the wind. Leaves fall slowly on the ground. People walk dogs, and some children run quietly. The person writes: park, tree, wind, leaf, fall, walk, dog, child, run. As the morning ends, the city becomes busier. Cars move slowly, people carry bags, and shops open. The person walks home slowly, remembering small details: birds, smells, colors, sounds. They feel calm and happy after observing the quiet morning. The city grows slowly busier as the morning continues. People walk on the sidewalks, some with umbrellas, some with shopping bags. Cars move carefully through the streets. The person decides to explore more areas of the city. First, they walk toward a small river. The water moves gently under old stone bridges. Ducks swim slowly, and some people feed them small pieces of bread. The person writes in the notebook: river, water, bridge, duck, swim, feed, bread. Near the river, there is a small park. Trees are tall, and the leaves move softly in the wind. People sit on benches, reading books or watching birds. The person notices a few pigeons pecking at crumbs on the ground. They write: park, tree, leaf, wind, bench, book, bird, pigeon, crumb. Walking further, the person finds a small street market. Stalls sell fresh vegetables, fruits, and flowers. Red tomatoes, yellow peppers, and green apples are on the tables. A woman sells small bouquets of flowers. The person writes, market, stall, vegetable, fruit, flower, red, yellow, green, sell. A man at another stall offers cheese. The person asks, which cheese is soft? The man gives a small piece to taste. The person writes, cheese, soft, taste, man, stall, offer. Next, the person goes to a small bookstore. The smell of paper and ink fills the air. Shelves are full of books, novels, travel guides, and magazines. A young man reads quietly in a corner. The person writes, bookstore, book, paper, ink, shelf, novel, guide, magazine, read, corner. Near the bookstore, there is a small cafe. The person decides to sit and drink tea. Steam rises from the cup, and the smell is warm and pleasant. People sit at small tables, talking quietly. Some use laptops. The person writes, cafe, tea, cup, steam, smell, warm, table, talk, quiet, laptop. After tea, the person walks toward an old museum. The museum is small but full of interesting exhibits. Paintings, small statues, and old objects are inside. The person observes carefully a painting of a city, a small wooden horse, and an old clock. They write, museum, painting, statue, object, city, wooden, horse, clock. Outside the museum, the street is busy now. Cars, bicycles, and pedestrians move slowly. Street musicians play soft music. Some people stop to listen. The person writes, street, car, bicycle, pedestrian, move, musician, music, listen, stop. Near the end of the morning, the person walks along a quiet street. Small shops sell clothes, shoes, and handmade crafts. A small cat sleeps in the sun on a windowsill. Birds fly above the rooftops. The person writes, shop, clothes, shoe, craft, cat, sleep, sun, window, bird, fly, roof. Before leaving, the person sits on a bench in a small square. They watch the city calmly, people talking, birds flying, cars moving, leaves falling. They write a summary in the notebook. The city is busy but calm. I saw a river, a park, a market, a bookstore, a cafe, a museum, and many small details. Birds, animals, people, and objects make the city alive. The sun moves higher in the sky. Shadows are short. The person feels happy and relaxed. They promise to explore another part of the city another day, to notice more details, hear more sounds, and learn new words. A small coastal town is calm in the morning. The sun is soft, and the sea is quiet. Boats float slowly in the harbor. Seagulls fly above the water. The smell of salt and fresh fish is in the air. A person walks along the harbor. They notice the colors of the boats, red, blue, yellow, and white. Some boats have nets, some have small barrels. The person writes new words in a notebook, boat, harbor, red, blue, yellow, white, net, barrel, sea, seagull. Near the docks, fishermen work slowly. They untangle nets and carry small fish in baskets. The person watches carefully and writes, fisherman, net, fish, basket, work, untangle, watch. A little cafe is near the harbor. The smell of coffee and fresh bread comes from inside. People sit at small tables, drinking coffee and eating croissants. The person writes, cafe, coffee, bread, table, drink, eat, croissant. The person walks toward a small market near the beach. Stalls sell vegetables, fruits, and souvenirs. Red tomatoes, yellow peppers, and green apples are on the tables. A woman sells small seashells. The person writes, market, stall, vegetable, fruit, souvenir, tomato, pepper, apple, seashell. On the beach, children play with small buckets and shovels. Some build small castles with sand. A little dog runs along the shore. The person watches and writes, beach, child, bucket, shovel, castle, sand, dog, run, shore. A small boat moves slowly on the water. The person notices two people fishing. They have small rods and wait quietly. The person writes, boat, water, people, fish, rod, wait, quiet. Near a rocky area, a few crabs move slowly between the stones. Small waves touch the rocks gently. The person writes, crab, rock, move, wave, touch, gentle. The sun moves higher. The person sits on a bench near the harbor and eats a small sandwich. Birds fly above, and the wind moves the sails of the boats. The person writes, sun, bench, eat, sandwich, bird, fly, wind, sail, boat. Before leaving, the person walks slowly along the shore. They look at the sea, boats, and distant hills. The town is calm and quiet. The person feels happy and relaxed, remembering the small discoveries of the morning. The sun is low in the sky. Shadows are long on the cobblestone streets of the old town. The streets are narrow and quiet. Old houses have colorful doors and small balconies. A person decides to take an evening walk. They carry a small bag and a notebook to write new words. They notice the colors of the buildings, orange, blue, and white. They write, street, cobblestone, house, door, balcony, orange, blue, white. A small bakery is open. The smell of fresh bread comes from the window. A baker arranges small rolls and pastries. The person watches quietly and writes, bakery, bread, window, baker, roll, pastry, smell, watch. Some people sit at a small cafe. They drink tea and talk quietly. The person walks slowly, observing the tables and chairs outside. They write, cafe, table, chair, tea, drink, talk, quiet, observe. Near the square, a street musician plays a small guitar. His music is soft and calm. Children stop and listen. A dog lies near a bench. The person writes, musician, guitar, play, soft, calm, child, stop, listen, dog, bench. The person walks toward a small fountain in the center of the square. Water moves gently, creating soft sounds. A few pigeons drink from the fountain. The person writes, fountain, water, move, sound, pigeon, drink, gentle. Along a narrow alley, small shops sell handmade items, scarves, candles, and small wooden toys. A woman arranges the candles carefully. The person writes, shop, scarf, candle, toy, wood, arrange, careful. A cat walks slowly on a wall. It stops, looks around, and jumps to another roof. The person writes, cat, walk, stop, look, jump, roof. The sun is almost gone. Street lamps turn on. Light reflects on the cobblestones. The town is quiet and calm. The person writes, sun, lamp, light, reflect, cobblestone, quiet, calm. Before leaving, the person sits on a small bench. They watch the town slowly. The baker cleans the bakery, the musician packs his guitar, and the pigeons fly to the rooftops. The person writes a summary in the notebook. The old town is calm and beautiful. I saw buildings, streets, bakery, cafe, musician, fountain, shops, cat, and pigeons. The evening is quiet and peaceful. The person walks home slowly, feeling relaxed and happy. They promise to return another evening to discover more streets, shops, and quiet corners of the old town. As the evening turns into night, the streets of the old town become quieter. Street lamps glow softly, and their light reflects on the cobblestones. The person continues walking slowly, carrying a small bag and a notebook to write new words. They notice the colors of the lamps, warm yellow, soft orange, and white. Shadows of the buildings move slowly with the light. The person writes, lamp, yellow, orange, white, shadow, building, light, move, slow. In a narrow alley, they see a small cafe still open. The smell of coffee is strong in the cool air. A few people sit at the tables, talking quietly. A waiter carries small plates carefully. The person writes, cafe, coffee, smell, table, talk, waiter, plate, careful. Near the town square, a fountain moves gently. Water sparkles in the lamplight. A few pigeons drink from the fountain. The person writes, fountain, water, sparkle, lamp, pigeon, drink, gentle. Walking further, they see a small bookshop with a warm light inside. The shelves are full of books, novels, history books, and travel guides. A woman sits quietly in a chair, reading. The person writes, bookshop, shelf, book, novel, history, guide, chair, read, quiet. On the rooftops, a cat moves slowly. It stops and looks at the street below. It jumps carefully to another roof. The person writes, cat, roof, move, stop, look, jump, careful. A soft breeze moves through the alleys. Leaves fall gently on the ground. The person hears the faint sound of music from a small violin in the square. People listen quietly. They write, breeze, alley, leaf, fall, music, violin, listen, quiet. Near the edge of the old town, a small bridge crosses a narrow river. Water moves slowly under the bridge. A few ducks swim near the edge. The person writes, bridge, river, water, move, duck, swim, edge, slow. They find a quiet bench near the river and sit. The town is calm and peaceful. They watch small details. A baker cleans the bakery, a musician packs his violin, and pigeons fly to the rooftops. They write, bench, town, calm, peaceful, baker, clean, musician, pack, fly, rooftop. The person takes a small notebook and writes a summary of the night. The old town at night is quiet and beautiful. I saw lamps, buildings, cafes, a fountain, bookshops, a cat, music, a bridge, river, ducks, and pigeons. Everything is calm, peaceful, and full of small details. Before leaving, the person stands slowly and looks around one last time. The streets are empty, the lamps glow softly, and the shadows move gently. They feel happy, relaxed, and ready to return another evening to discover more corners of the old town. Early in the morning, a person arrives at a small train station. The sky is soft and pink. The air is cool. People wait quietly on the platform. Some read newspapers, some drink coffee, and some carry small suitcases. The person carries a backpack and a notebook. The train arrives slowly. Steam rises from the engine. The doors open, and people get on and off. The person finds a seat by the window and sits. They write new words in the notebook: train, station, platform, newspaper, coffee, suitcase, backpack, window, seat. The train starts moving. The wheels make soft sounds on the tracks. The countryside passes slowly. Fields are green, and small rivers flow gently. Cows and sheep are in the fields. The person writes: wheel, track, countryside, field, green, river, flow, cow, sheep. Near a small village, the train stops for a few minutes. People get off and get on. A woman carries a small basket with fruit. A child waves to someone on the platform. The person writes: village, stop, basket, fruit, child, wave, platform. The train moves again. Sunlight reflects on the windows. Birds fly near the tracks. The person notices small flowers near the railway. They write: sunlight, reflect, bird, fly, track, flower, railway. A small cafe car is on the train. The person walks slowly and buys a cup of tea and a small sandwich. They sit back by the window. Steam rises from the tea. The person writes: cafe, car, tea, cup, sandwich, steam, sit, window. Passing a forest, the trees are tall and green. The wind moves the leaves. The person sees a small deer running quietly between the trees. They write: forest, tree, green, wind, leaf, deer, run, quiet. The train goes through a tunnel. Inside, it is dark and quiet. Lights on the ceiling shine softly. The person writes: tunnel, dark, quiet, light, ceiling, shine. After the tunnel, the landscape changes. Hills rise in the distance. A small river shines in the sunlight. Farmers work in the fields slowly. The person writes: hill, distance, river, shine, sunlight, farmer, field, work, slow. The journey is peaceful. The person looks out of the window and sees small towns, forests, rivers, and fields. People move slowly in gardens and streets. They write: town, garden, street, move, slowly. Before arriving at the final station, the person writes a summary in the notebook: the train journey is calm and interesting. I saw fields, rivers, forests, towns, hills, animals, and people. The train moves slowly, and I enjoy the small details outside the window. The train stops. People get off. The person carries the backpack and notebook and walks slowly along the platform. They feel happy and relaxed, ready to explore the new town. The person arrives at the new town. The train station is small but clean. People walk slowly on the platform. Some carry shopping bags, some talk quietly, and a few check the departure board. The person takes a deep breath and steps outside. The air smells fresh, and the sun is warm. Near the station, a small street leads to the town center. Buildings are colorful, red, yellow, and white. Some have small balconies with flowers. The person writes new words in their notebook: street, town, center, building, red, yellow, white, balcony, flower. A small cafe is on the corner. The smell of fresh coffee and pastries comes from the open door. People sit at tables outside, drinking tea or coffee slowly. The person walks closer and writes: cafe, coffee, pastry, table, drink, tea, slow, smell. Near the cafe, a small fountain is in the square. Water moves gently and sparkles in the sunlight. Children play near the fountain carefully, trying not to get wet. Pigeons walk on the edge of the fountain. The person writes: fountain, water, sparkle, sunlight, child, play, careful, pigeon, edge. They continue walking through the narrow streets. Small shops sell clothes, shoes, and handmade items. A woman arranges scarves on a rack. The person observes carefully and writes: shop, clothes, shoe, handmade, woman, arrange, rack, observe. A small park is nearby. Trees are tall and green. People sit on benches, read books, or walk slowly. A dog lies in the shade. The person writes: park, tree, green, bench, book, walk, slow, dog, shade. The sun moves lower in the sky. Shadows grow long on the streets. Street lamps turn on, casting a soft light. The person walks slowly, enjoying the calm evening. They write: sun, shadow, street, lamp, light, walk, calm evening. Near the river, small boats are tied to the dock. Water moves slowly, reflecting the lights from the buildings. A few ducks swim quietly. The person writes: river, boat, dock, water, move, reflect, light, building, duck, swim, quiet. A street musician plays a soft melody on a violin. People stop and listen. Some throw small coins into a hat. The person sits on a bench and watches. They write: musician, violin, play, melody, listen, coin, hat, sit, watch. Before leaving the town center, the person finds a quiet alley with old stone walls. Small flowers grow between the stones. The wind moves gently. They write: alley, wall, stone, flower, grow, wind, gentle. Finally, the person sits on a bench near the river and writes a summary of the day. The new town is calm and interesting. I saw streets, buildings, cafes, a fountain, shops, a park, boats, ducks, and a musician. People move slowly, and the town feels peaceful. I enjoy observing small details and learning new words. The sun sets slowly. The lights in the town glow softly. The person feels happy, relaxed, and ready to explore more the next day. They walk slowly back to the station, carrying the backpack and notebook, remembering the calm and beauty of the town. The next morning, the person wakes early and decides to explore more of the town. The sun is soft, and the streets are quiet. Birds sing in the trees, and the air smells fresh. They walk along a narrow street that leads to a small market. Stalls are full of vegetables, fruits, bread, and small handmade items. Red tomatoes, yellow peppers, and green apples are neatly arranged. A baker is placing fresh bread in the window. The person writes new words in their notebook: market, stall, vegetable, fruit, bread, handmade, tomato, pepper, apple, baker, window. A small cafe near the market smells of coffee and pastries. People sit at tables outside, reading newspapers or talking quietly. The person orders tea and sits, observing carefully. They write: cafe, coffee, pastry, table, read, newspaper, talk, quiet, tea, observe. From the cafe, they walk toward a small park. Trees are tall and green, and shadows move slowly in the sunlight. Children play with small balls, and a dog runs after them. A few pigeons walk on the grass. The person writes: park, tree, green, shadow, sunlight, child, ball, dog, run, pigeon, grass. Near the park, they find a small museum. The building is old but beautiful. Inside, there are paintings, small sculptures, and old objects. A guide shows a few visitors around. The person walks carefully, noticing a painting of the town from long ago, a small wooden horse, and an old clock. They write: museum, painting, sculpture, object, guide, visit, horse, clock, old, town. After the museum, the person follows a small river that flows slowly through the town. Water reflects the sunlight. Ducks swim quietly. Small boats are tied to the dock. The person writes: river, flow, water, reflect, sunlight, duck, swim, boat, dock, quiet. They cross a small bridge and notice a street musician playing a soft melody on a guitar. People stop to listen and throw coins into a small hat. The person writes: bridge, musician, guitar, play, melody, listen, coin, hat, stop. In the afternoon, the person walks along the streets of the old town. Buildings have colorful doors and small balconies with flowers. A cat moves slowly along the rooftops. They write: street, building, door, balcony, flower, cat, roof, move, slow. As the sun begins to set, the person climbs a small hill near the edge of town. From there, they can see the river, rooftops, streets, and distant hills. The sky is orange and pink. They write: hill, river, rooftop, street, distance, view, sky, orange, pink. Finally, the person sits on a bench and writes a summary in the notebook. The town is calm and full of details. I saw markets, cafes, parks, museums, rivers, bridges, buildings, rooftops, cats, ducks, and musicians. People move slowly, and everything is peaceful. I enjoy observing and learning new words. As night falls, the town is quiet. Lamps glow softly on the streets, reflecting on the cobblestones. The person feels happy and relaxed, ready to explore more tomorrow. A student starts the morning in the university. The sun is soft, and the campus is quiet. People walk slowly between buildings, carrying books and backpacks. The student carries a notebook and a pen, ready to learn English. The first class is in a small classroom. The teacher greets everyone and writes new words on the board: library, lecture, homework, question, answer. The student repeats the words quietly and writes them in the notebook. After the lesson, the student goes to the library. Books are on the shelves, and students read or write quietly. The student chooses a small book in English about daily life. They read slowly and write new words: market, coffee, street, park, friend. During lunch, the student sits with classmates. They speak slowly in English, asking questions and answering. For example, what do you like to eat? I like sandwiches. The student writes new phrases in the notebook, like eat, question, answer, friend, lunch. In the afternoon, there is a conversation class. The teacher shows pictures and asks students to describe them. The student says, the man is walking. The dog is running. They listen carefully to classmates and learn new words: man, walk, dog, run, look, see. After classes, the student walks on the campus. People speak English around. The student listens to small conversations and writes new words: library, class, student, teacher, campus, walk, talk, listen. At home, the student studies alone. They read a small story in English and write the new words in a notebook. They practice speaking slowly and clearly. They feel happy because learning English is fun. Before sleeping, the student reviews all the words and phrases from the day. They write a summary: today I learned new words and phrases in English. I read, spoke, and listened. I am happy and ready to learn more tomorrow. Learning English in the university is calm, interesting, and full of small discoveries every day. One night, a student falls asleep after a long day at the university. They dream about a small, quiet classroom. The sun shines through the windows, and the room is full of books and colorful posters with English words. In the dream, the teacher smiles and says, "Today, we will learn English in a special way. Listen carefully, and speak slowly." The student notices new words on the walls: library, book, question, answer, friend. They repeat the words quietly. Suddenly, the student is outside, in a beautiful park. Trees are tall, and birds sing softly. A small notebook appears in their hands. On the first page are simple sentences in English: the cat is on the roof. The dog is running in the park. The student reads and says the sentences slowly, practicing pronunciation. A friendly fox appears and asks the student, "Do you want to learn more words?" The student nods. Flowers bloom around them with words written on the petals: red, yellow, blue, tree, leaf, flower. They touch each flower and say the words aloud. Next, the student walks on a small bridge over a quiet river. Ducks swim gently below. A sign appears: river, water, duck, swim, calm. The student writes these words in the notebook and repeats them. The dream changes again. Now the student is in a small cafe in a city. People drink tea and talk slowly in English. The student listens and says, I like tea. I like coffee. I like to read. A little notebook appears again, and the student writes the new phrases. Before waking up, the student sees a large, glowing book floating in the sky. It says, learning English is fun, even in dreams. Repeat, listen, and speak. The student smiles and repeats the words softly. When the student wakes up, they remember everything from the dream, new words, simple sentences, and small phrases. They feel happy and ready to learn more English during the day. One night, a person falls asleep and finds themselves in a huge library. The library is magical. Books float in the air, and small lights shine softly above each shelf. The air smells like old paper and ink. A small voice whispers, welcome. You can learn English here by touching the books. The person walks slowly between the floating shelves. Each book has a word written on the cover: adventure, music, river, mountain, story. When the person opens a book called adventure, the words jump off the page. They form simple sentences. I walk in the forest. I see a river. The sun is bright. The person repeats each sentence slowly, hearing the words clearly in the dream. Next, a book called music floats nearby. Notes and words appear together. Sentences are written on the air. The guitar plays softly. The bird sings. I listen carefully. The person repeats the sentences aloud. A gentle wind moves through the library, and more books appear: market, city, friend, travel, ocean. The person opens each book one by one. They see short dialogues. Hello. How are you? I am fine. Thank you. They practice speaking slowly, repeating the sentences in the magical air of the library. Then, a small owl flies by and drops a tiny notebook in front of the person. It says, write what you learn. Remember words by imagining them. The person writes new words and sentences carefully. Before waking up, the library changes. The books float higher, forming a circle around the person. A soft voice says, learning English in dreams helps your memory. Imagine, repeat, speak, and write. When the person wakes up, they remember the floating books, sentences, and the magical library. They feel excited to practice English during the day and imagine new words in their dreams. The person steps further into the magical library. Books float gently above, some open, showing glowing letters. Each book leads to a different world. A soft voice says, choose a book and enter its story. You will learn new words and sentences in English. The person touches a book called Ocean Adventure. Instantly, the library disappears, and they are standing on a soft sandy beach. Waves move slowly, and the water is clear blue. A small notebook appears in their hands. Words float above the ocean: sea, wave, sand, shell, fish. The person repeats the words slowly and writes them in the notebook. A dolphin jumps near the shore, and a voice says, dolphin, jump, swim, splash. The person watches carefully and repeats the words aloud. Next, a small boat appears. A man in the boat says, "Do you want to explore the sea?" The person nods. They step into the boat, which moves gently over the waves. Words appear on the sails: boat, sail, row, water, wind. The person practices each word, speaking clearly. They see a small island nearby. Palm trees grow there, and birds fly above. Words appear on the island: tree, bird, fruit, climb, walk. The person walks on the sand and touches a coconut tree. A small monkey jumps down. A voice says, "Monkey, jump, climb, fruit, playful." The person writes the words in the notebook. The dream changes again. The person is now in a city floating above clouds. Streets are glowing softly, and signs show English words: market, shop, cafe, bridge, street. People walk slowly, speaking simple sentences: "I buy bread. I drink tea. The cat is on the roof." The person repeats the sentences carefully and writes them in the notebook. A small street musician plays a soft melody on a glowing guitar. Notes appear in the air with words: music, play, sing, listen, calm. The person listens and repeats the words. The person continues to a floating library tower. Each floor has books about a different topic: nature, travel, animals, daily life, feelings. They climb the stairs slowly, touching each book and practicing words: forest, mountain, river, travel, journey, happy, sad, calm, excited. On the top floor, a magical globe appears. It shows different countries. Words float above each country: country, city, language, friend, learn. The voice says, "You can visit any place in your dream to practice English. Imagine, repeat, and speak." Before waking, the person sits in the center of the floating library. They repeat all the words and sentences they learned: animals, nature, cities, actions, feelings. They feel confident and excited. A soft voice says, "Learning in dreams helps memory. Your words are safe in your mind. Keep practicing." When the person wakes up, they remember everything: the ocean, the floating city, the magical books, the glowing words, and the sentences. They feel motivated to continue learning English during the day and to dream about new adventures at night. Take a slow, deep breath. In and out. Feel your body soft and heavy. Your mind is calm and quiet. All the words, sentences, and stories you learned tonight stay in your memory. You are safe. You are relaxed. Your brain is learning softly while you sleep. Now, close your eyes completely. Let your body rest. Let your mind rest. Sleep gently. Good night. Sweet dreams. English words stay with you.